And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for finding some time tonight to joining our live discussion. It's kind of nice and sunny in Melbourne, as you can see. I'm just getting some sunlight here. So thank you so much for finding some time this evening to join our live discussion. Please make sure to introduce yourself in the comments. Let us know what you do and join our conversation with your comments and questions. So if you're new to my live show, I'm Yana Martins. I've recently started my journey as an IT recruiter. So hence I started this new YouTube channel dedicated to IT career in Australia. So tonight we are going to talk about how to choose the right DevOps tools for your team. And Anton is going to share his valuable insight when it comes to DevOps tools. So it's obviously incredibly relevant topic for those of you who working in DevOps or thinking to, transition into DevOps career. So please make sure tag or share this with your colleagues, friends who need to hear this. So before I'll pass it on to Anton to introduce himself, I just want to quickly remind you that we're going live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you want to watch replays, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's the easiest way, obviously, to watch the replays. YouTube channel IT Career in Australia. I'm going live there every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Melbourne time with various experts from my network. And we're talking about all the things around IT career, job search, and specifics of IT industry in Australia. So you can also join my meetup groups to make sure you get notification for upcoming discussions. And of course, we will try to answer all your questions from all the platform, but please stay on the topic. Topic today is the right DevOps tools for your team. And, if you active and asking some good questions, you might even get some nice surprise at the end of the stream. So few people here. Ame is here. Hello. Good day, Anna. Thank you for joining us. So make sure, guys, who's here. Please drop your name in the comments. It's always good to know who's here, so it doesn't feel like we're talking to crickets. So please comment with your name, and I'm passing on to Anton to introduce himself. Please, Anton.
Wonderful. Thank you, Yana. Really excited to be on your show this evening, I should say. My name is Anton. My surname is Vishnyakov, and I'm a DevOps engineer lead currently with a company called Big W, one of the biggest and I guess iconic retailer in Australia. And Yana, if you maybe could share a couple of slides, we'll get started.
Yes, of course. Let's just say hi. Look, we have quite a few people joining, I guess. Let's just quickly say hi. Vinny's here.
Hey, Vinny.
Hi, Anton.
How you
So
doing?
obviously, some of your fans is here.
No way.
So Michael is here as usual. So Amir is here. Perfect. So yeah, let's get into it. So obviously today we're gonna dig into DevOps tools and why people make some mistakes sometimes of choosing the DevOps tools, and I guess you're gonna share your lessons when you kind of try to choose your DevOps tools before. So I guess before we even get into the the tools itself, let's just talk about DevOps a little bit. What is DevOps?
Yeah, that is very good idea, I guess. Before even jumping to solve the problem, we probably need to understand what the problem is, and it's really great to basically start with basics. What is DevOps and maybe what is not, right? I go really easy on this one. I just Google and steal from the best companies over there, Amazon and Atlassian and Microsoft. If you can kind of Google those things, yeah, they generally agree that DevOps is intersection between people and the philosophy on the one hand, and then secondly practices, and finally tools, right? So that's the intersection of those three things. Why? Well, to basically do things faster. Basically to continually provide value to the customers or deliver your applications much more faster into production and quickly have a feedback. And based on that, we can say what DevOps is not, right? It's definitely not a single tool or maybe a couple of tools, Puppet, Ansible, or whatever your favorite tool is, maybe Terraform. It's much more bigger.
Kubernetes, of course.
Definitely. We're gonna touch base on this one as well. So as you see, it's much more complex challenge to solve. This is people getting to practices and agreeing on those things and finally using tools. And that's what probably DevOps is. And what is the problem to solve? Yay. Yeah, thanks, Yana. Ultimately, we can define as moving applications from your local laptop somewhere in the cloud, whether that's Kubernetes, your favorite cloud. But essentially, it's all about moving apps somewhere from point A to point B. And you can have different phases. You build your applications on a local laptop, you move the applications into CI/CD pipelines, you test, and then finally you operate in the cloud, right? And based on operational metrics or feedback, whether your application breaks or not, maybe it's a little bit too slow, a little bit too fast, you make further decisions. And it's all about closing this feedback loop. Applications on a laptop, moving to production, and then finally closing the loop, learning from that. And that is a problem to solve, right?
And yeah, and it's, sounds pretty simple, straightforward. We need to move from point A to point B. So, why it's so hard? Why it seems so complicated?
Yeah, good question, Yana. Let's move to the next slide. So why is it so difficult and hard? Well, look, moving from point A to point B is not trivial. Context matters, right? So you might be going to a beach, you've got a car, great. You might be moving the house, like, lift and shift your legacy application from data center. That's how it feels like. You basically getting your app from legacy data center, putting on a truck, and then, hey, lift and shift in the cloud, good luck. Or maybe you're scaling and you've got like a whole tank of applications, right? Like hundreds of applications, and you want to scale and deliver quickly. Or maybe you're joining like a Millennium Falcon. You want to move really, really fast and at a light speed, right? But the point being is that your journey and your context matters, and it's very, very different. While moving from point A, point B, it's not a brainer. Trucks, cars, or context matters, and it requires different skill set, basically. Different skill set, different environment, different tool chain, and it's all about your situation in your company, your challenges and your journey. Does it make sense? What do you think, Jan?
I love that you put tank in there. So next time I go to the beach, I'm gonna drive a tank.
Yeah,
I think it will be, really Russian of me, just getting my tank to the beach. So, but like, okay, so obviously we need to move from point A to B. We have multiply, vehicles that can take you there. How do we decide which one to choose?
Well, we don't. We just go Kubernetes, right? Like a battle tank, a bunch of battle tanks, and it's gonna work everywhere. Like, yeah. But yeah, it's a good question, good remark, Yana. And look, context matters, right? So, and again, look, it's everybody's perspective, right? I mean, I've got slightly different perspective or experience, and in your company, your situation, your organization, it could be very, very different, right? And what we're trying to highlight here is not like going with a particular tool set, whether it's a Jenkins, Kubernetes, or your favorite tool, but more of an understanding of what the problem is, why is it difficult, how you can make more informed choices, right? And so if you switch back to the slide, right, context matters, right? So at the end of the day, a company consists of people. And what we're trying to maybe say is that your personal choices may not be applicable when you move through the companies. You can work for one company, you've got one tool chain, and then you've got another tool chain at another company. But at the end of the day, it's personal kind of, I guess, achievements, and then a bunch of engineers compose a team, right? So it's what matters is how a team performs, and then many teams compose a company. And biggest, closest analogy is like racing. You've got one driver, but behind one driver, you've got the whole team. the whole team and the maintenance of the car and making sure the car performs. And then, yeah, at the end of the day, again, you've got one person maybe doing the job, but there is much bigger picture, individual person, and then the bunch of the teams, and then the whole company, right? So, and then you've got a couple of other ideas. Maybe you can think about companies being a technology company, think about Canva or Atlassian, and then maybe non-technology company. You can have different situations or different stages of the company. You can have scale-ups or startups, or you can have an enterprise company. You can think about different DevOps models, centralized or not. And again, different scenarios. Are you doing new applications? Are you starting from scratch? Are you having a huge legacy to re-engineer or to move across data center to cloud? Everything matters. The context matters. Depending on all those factors, you're going to figure out what is the right tool chain for you, right? But at the end of the day, what is the problem to solve? You start with the problem, you identify and quantify the problem. How many things to move, how many applications, what is the current skill set in a team? Maybe you can stop worrying about yourself, but maybe thinking about the team, right? So it's not about how much you know, but it matters how much team knows, or how many teams know the tool or the tool chain. And then also adoption for the internal customers, right? Again, going back to the racing example, doesn't matter, how driver is really, how good is the driver. What matters is that how good is the team, right? And coming back to our DevOps tool chain or choosing the DevOps tools, it's all about how the bunch of the teams can work together and leverage that tool chain to deliver value within the organization.
100%, Anton, you definitely touch on a few important things to consider. Probably there is a big difference, like coming back to the example, taking the bicycle or track to the beach. We actually need to try to decide, what problem we're solving, and make sure that the team is happy with this, and we're just not going for the next shiny tool because suddenly it's in trend and everyone's just using this tool.
Yeah,
so
could be a case.
And I guess you have a bit of a framework here that you want to share what do you consider when you're choosing the tools?
Sure, that'd be wonderful. Again, team, whoever is watching this video, that's my own journey. And of course, your journey can be very, very different. But you can see a table here. Left is a development, is a green one, and the right is operations. And together they make, DevOps, right? And depending on your context, you can then figure out your verticals. But think about this one. You moved left to right. You've got a bunch of the applications, and you've got a life cycle, that journey from point A, which is your laptop, and then finally to point B, which is cloud or Kubernetes or whatever you're using. And so you map out the journey from left to right, and you start drilling into verticals. What is important for your development story? Well, generally it can go from planning, for example, using Jira, Confluence, sprint planning, things like that. So you figure out what you need to do. You're moving into development cycle. Well, good examples, it can be GitHub, it can be Docker. You can figure out your programming languages and things like that. Once you develop your application locally on a laptop, what's next? You're building and using continuous integration, continuous deployment. And that's where you need to make your choices, right? Finally, you're moving into production. You can have release gates. You can have different UA scenarios. But that kind of more or less wraps up the local development story and the overall development story. And from that point, you move into, I guess, right corner of that table, and you've got operations, basically operating and running your apps on the cloud. And again, depending on your story, you can slice and dice. But generally, you've got to worry about infrastructure and the configs. You can put Terraform there or a bunch of the other tools. That's just an example, right? In your situation, it can be very, very different tool chain in the landscape. You've got monitoring, of course. You've got high availability, disaster recovery, and you might have security, right? And so that's kind of generally an approach which I tend to follow more or less. And depending on the organization, I customize, right? Not the best one, not ideal one, I know, but still works. Yeah, really helps to visualize your journey from left to right, how you move apps from laptop all the way to the cloud, and how you close the feedback loop. And generally, it can be really useful. Depending on your situation, you can then drill down in current landscape, what are the opportunities to improve, what are the feedbacks on each vertical. For example, you can have security story on the very right, which going to be affecting your development story or CI/CD, or you can have maybe cross-cutting concern, which is cost management, right? And that, cross-cutting concern for cost management can impact your development vertical, infrastructure as code vertical, maybe even monitoring and things like that. So it's all interconnected and very, very, very contextual. But I guess the point being is you need to visualize the journey, right? Map out particular steps which are very important or reasonable for your situation and organization. And then start having conversation on each vertical with your team, with your other teams, and with your managers or where you are, I don't know. But yeah, Jana.
Yeah. Yes, and definitely, I guess, thinking about the whole picture. And I guess that's in any organization, no matter if you're talking about DevOps or anything, when we're talking about choosing the tools, sometimes it's just coming back to this idea of what problem we're solving and how the big picture looks like instead of concentrating on each tool. So, but Anton, you also was going to share with us some principles to consider when we're choosing these tools. Yeah, so one thing, obviously, to have the framework in mind, have a big picture in mind. So what sort of principles you've been using while choosing the tools?
It's a very good question. And I absolutely agree with your last sentence, where it's very, very tempting to jump into solution, right? Hey, let's use Terraform, or let's use Kubernetes, or hey, let's use Jenkins, whatever tool is, right? It might be not optimal solution, right? You still need to have a step back and assess the whole situation, right? And for me, I've been using this approach. Let's jump on the slide. So speaking about DevOps, we earlier spoke about DevOps, and we basically said, hey, all DevOps is not about tool chains or concrete tools. It's all about people getting together into the processes and finally tool chains, right? And so the first idea is all about people. And I recently read this book called Team Topologies. And I started using those principles highlighted by this book. Basically, hey, each person has a each person has a limit for cognitive load. So basically, it means that you cannot master 20 tools. You've got a limit. You can master really well 3 tools, 5, maybe 10. But apart from 10, you've got an upper limit. So because you've got an upper limit, your team is going to have an upper limit. And so even if you have 5 people in a team, dealing with 50 different tools is really, really challenging, right? So what do? You expand the team for 20 people, or what are the choices? So
actually, let's ask people who's still with us today. So how many DevOps tools are you currently using? So how many DevOps tools you have in your organization? Do you have 3, 5, or maybe 15? So where is your cognitive limit there in learning all the tools? So guys, if you're listening to us, please let us know how many tools you've been recently using, and if it feels like it's just constantly increasing and you have to constantly learn another tool as well. So coming back, I guess, to the book.
Yeah, so basically focusing on the people component of the DevOps, right? Single person has an upper limit to deal with complexity or different tools. Great. That means that the team gonna have that limit, right? And so what can you do? One of the approaches which I've been recently taking is limit variations and identify the patterns. Maybe we don't have hundreds of different patterns. Think about microservices or apps. Maybe we don't have hundreds of patterns. Maybe you have 3 patterns, backend job. You can have maybe a website and API, but you've got 3 patterns. That's it, right? You don't have hundreds of different patterns. right? That can help, right? So that's one of the approaches. Second approach, you can also identify patterns, not only for technology and tooling, but also for people. And so basically, ad hoc, many-to-many interactions are very, very expensive. But think about people getting on Slack or, I don't know, Teams and kind of talking to each other, or maybe like 50 people getting on the call trying to agree on something, right? And so these books also suggest a way on identifying the patterns between teams, how teams interact, right? And how you can optimize those interactions to produce a better value, right? So two things: optimizing technology, limiting variations, and identifying the patterns, but also not stopping on the technology realm, but also looking into how you organize teams and optimize team collaboration to achieve better and faster outcomes. And based on those two principles, well, there's much more principles, of course, in the book, but generally, based on those two fundamental principles, you can finally scale, right? It's all about scaling, right? You can put 100 applications by hand doing that, today, tomorrow, and the after tomorrow. You want to move all the 100 applications like today, right now, right? And do it repeatedly. So hope that makes sense. And that's the people component.
Michael have an answer for our question before. I'm probably running around 10 tools at the moment, but they are very tightly integrated.
Yeah, that's
how many
that's
tools
really
you running, Anton? How many tools you running at the moment?
Okay. Yeah.
Like start counting. And also, guys, and maybe Michael can tell us as well, what is like, I don't know, like your top ones, the ones that you like learning at the moment, and let us know as well. So would love to hear which ones you're learning at the moment. Anton, you still counting? You don't have enough?
Yeah, I do. I think we've got roughly maybe like 15 kind of tools, but there are like maybe 3 to 5 really, really important, right? So you've got categories, right? 3 to 5 really, really important, and then maybe less important, which, they're useful, but you don't rely as much on those. You don't really need a deep expertise, right? Yeah, 15-ish, I guess.
and I guess it's that's a lot of tools. And I guess it's bringing us to your next principle of scaling.
Great. Technology. So DevOps, people, collaboration, finally technology, and the tool chains. I recently joined the boring technology club. So you can Google the boring technology in the Google. You're gonna find that there is a boring technology club and things like that. The very principle is the same, because there is an upper limit to deal with complexity. Maybe having a scattered technology landscape, whether it's a DevOps tooling or general technology landscape, might be too difficult for people to absorb. So you're going to grow your DevOps or application teams. Just why? Because you deal with too many technologies, right? And it is also going to drive the cost. So at the end of the day, you may find that you just, I don't know, maintaining Jenkins or something of that sort, right? And your full-time job becomes Jenkins server maintainer instead of delivering value to the business. And so going back to that slide. So on the top right, you've got you've got two screens here. On the top right, yeah. Great.
Yep.
So you've got a bunch of the problems in blue circles, and then you map those problems into technologies. So it's very, very tempting to go the best technology for the problem, but you're going to end up with one-on-one mapping between technology and the problem. And so you're going to expand your technology landscape. So maybe at some point you can go like boring technology way. You can choose a boring technology and map many problems to a single technology. And that's the screenshot at the bottom right. So you've got the same amount of problems, right? Maybe 50 problems to solve, right? But you don't have 50 technologies. You've got maybe 10, right? So the ratio is like roughly 5 problems to 1 technology. And that's all about, and that's the general idea about, joining that boring technology club, right? You're not necessarily jumping into the recent bleeding edge technology. You're choosing something that works. Yeah, been there for years. It works for sure. It's not gonna break. Everyone knows that, right? So you can tap in the market as well, right? You still can identify patterns and limit variations. Same idea. 50 problems, but 10 technologies. Easy to maintain, easy to deal with, easy to master, easy to learn, easy to make a hire on the market, right? If you think about that, you want Azure expertise with Kubernetes, with monitoring, with Terraform, and so those people just don't exist. So maybe you want to limit your variations to like, hey, let's go Kubernetes or let's go Azure or whatever tool is, and then find appropriate people on the market.
And yeah, definitely, it's solving your hiring problem at the same time, because you're not looking for unicorns anymore, because suddenly you want someone who knows all the 15 technologies, and you probably struggling to find them. And as I can relate at the moment, being in IT recruitment, I may be saying quite a few, but I have integrated them at different stages. Chaos engineering, learning, and implementing at the same time.
Nice.
Litmus,
we are also looking into chaos engineering. I see a lot of people recently started looking into these ones. Seems to be a new trend as well. Oh, not a new trend, sorry, it's wrong saying, but it's really great to see more people looking into this one, at least based on my LinkedIn and Australia kind of, circle.
We haven't heard from Michael. Michael didn't share what he's learning at the moment, so we'll wait for his comment. So yeah, basically, I guess coming back to the principles you're sharing, boring can be good, yes. to summarize, not everything needs to be exciting. Boring can solve quite a few problems in terms of scaling and obviously hiring a new staff as well. I guess there is another principle you want to share with us as well.
It's probably not a principle, but just a couple of examples I also put in the slides. The overall idea was not to, I guess, have a fight over the particular tooling, but just highlight problems which we have, highlight challenges, highlight ideas which you can leverage or maybe reference architecture, so anything of that sort. So you can go there, learn, put this principle into your situation as well. And so I basically got inspired a couple of years ago by grunt work, and that's one of the examples which I want to highlight and maybe share with other people. So there is an interesting blog post by that company, Grunt Work. Basically, there's a person who wrote a book about Terraform, and there is a fascinating blog post and also 30 minutes video presentation by this guy, how he wrote 300,000 lines of infrastructure code, but still scaled and was efficient in his journey, his learnings. And so for me, takeaway is very, very simple. Again, limit variations, identify patterns, stick to boring technology. So the guy basically used Terraform, standardized on Bash and Python. That's it. 3 things to be worried about, and also 3 things which can go wrong. And you just need to listen to that story. And what excites me is that it's extremely scalable approach, right? Yeah, it might be boring, right? 3 tools, nothing fancy, nothing to work with, probably looks like that, but it scales just ridiculously awesome, right? Previous company, we've been using this work, Terraform with TerraGrunt and TerraTest as well. And from my perspective, I had to learn a little bit of the Golang, but apart from that, I was able to, I guess, move infrastructure as code really, really quick, test it, validate, make changes really fast. And from my perspective, it was really boring. It became boring, literally boring, right? But it was extremely scalable, and it's still scalable. And another example, yeah.
Michael saying, I'm busy adapting to new team. New tooling has to wait. And I guess, that's one of the questions we wanted to ask as well. how you guys like also adapting that you need to change your job, and you have a completely different toolkit. So it seems again like a burning topic, because now then, like, everyone picking their different tool stack. You go from the company to company, and suddenly you need to pick another tool and another tool, and that as that book mentioned, we have this cognitive limit on the tooling. So maybe Michael can actually share with us if he needed to change the toolkit dramatically, and he changed job or not. But and then what was your experience with it? Like, when you change job, like, have you had to learn a lot of new tools, or you just kind of apply the principles?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I guess it depends. It depends what company you join at which stage, things like that. But overall, I did have to pick up a lot of different tools through my DevOps journey. But I guess, I'm coming from a software engineering background. Maybe for me, it's picking up new tools. It's really, really simple, because if you're coming from networking background or maybe infrastructure, you didn't used to script maybe, or you didn't used to do like a program and things like that. It might be a little bit more challenging, right? But, for me, it was joyful, I guess, and easier. But again, at some point, maybe we should take sides, right? So I worked with AWS, I worked with Azure, and right now, I'm picking Azure side, just because I like. I went really deep, I went really wide, and I just gonna excel in Azure and Kubernetes as well, right? Maybe in some situations, maybe you're starting your journey in IT, I highly recommend to try everything what you can. Basically, join a consultancy, join AWS consultancy. There are a lot of here in Sydney or other cities. Join a consultancy, work on different projects, work on different tool chains, learn what you love, what you're passionate about, and then make a decision. Maybe you're gonna like Kubernetes or GCP or Azure, but unless you try it, you're never gonna know, right?
Yeah.
Again, for me, look, I made a decision. I tried a lot of things, and for now, I'm really excited about Azure and other.
Yeah, and also I think the good point, like trying a lot of in the beginning, choosing the ones you like. Also, maybe making a bit of a research as well, what most of the companies using, or maybe a company of your dream is using particular tool stack, and maybe you need to consider going to this direction if you have quite a clear idea which company you want to work for.
Sounds good. Yeah, definitely.
I think we have a few more. That's my favorite examples. It reminds me of Russia, this example. So let's talk about this one. I can totally see myself cooking meat like this. Like, I'm just...
Reminds you of Russian style barbecue, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So that's probably another example of what not to do, right? And I deliberately didn't put anything, any kind of tool mentioning here, but depending on your story, you can see a few references here. Well, what not to do? A good example of self-hosted tools, right? I don't know. Everything what you self-host is going to be expensive, right? You can do anything you want, but it's going to be all at your own expense. Might be really difficult for non-technology company to pick up. Again, I don't want to really pick the tool, but think about this one. Technology company, they're good at technology. Think about Canva, Atlassian, I don't know, Google, Microsoft, things like that, right? They can do whatever they want. Basically, they do have access to enormous amount of resources, expertise, budgets, and things like that. When you work in a non-technology business, you're not a technology company. So good engineers are elsewhere. That's one of the examples, right? So self-hosting your DevOps toolchain or maybe your other tools might be really, really, really difficult. Operating is hard, right? At the end of the day, you can end up with copy-pasting things from Google. Well, because they work, we put in the production, let's say done. You don't want to go deep and really understand how to operate those things. What happens 4 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning? It's a good question, right? Things don't work. They were, I don't know, open source. You put that in a production, they don't work. You've got no idea what to do. It's a good analogy when, for example, you own a car, right? But you don't have to maintenance that, right? I don't know, your engine broke. Like, what do you do? Jan, what do you do if your engine in your car broke?
Take my car to mechanic.
Exactly, right?
I can change the lights. I must say, I won't take it to mechanic, but engine straight to mechanic.
Yeah. And that's a good example where you need to make your trade-offs and choices. If it's a business critical piece of software, right, might be a good idea to go SaaS first, might be a good idea to go vendor support. Basically buy tool as a SaaS service, have that coverage, have that support, so that 4 o'clock in the morning, something doesn't work, you are covered, right? Azure and AWS, they do have the services. Don't sell your databases as an example, right? Use SaaS, use PaaS, use the services. In some scenarios, of course, you may have, I don't know, legislations or maybe low obligations, you have to self-host. Yeah, but those are very, very special pockets. Generally speaking, as a non-technology business, you may struggle with that. And it can turn out really, really badly at you. So why wouldn't you use this time and just, get your car, go to the maintenance center, let's say done, right? And you can have a really, really good sleep on a Saturday and Sunday morning. And I just wonder, speaking of that, I just wonder if, what is the trade-off between going SaaS or maybe going self-hosted on your experience? If you could maybe share a few learnings, team.
Yeah, we have a few comments. So guys, yeah, if you have something to share as well around this, that would be great. Philip is saying, thank you for referencing groundwork. I could organize a version of Terraform modules quite well. Thanks, Anton. Go.
No dramas, Philip.
We're gonna also share those links in the comments, because you have a links on the slides. I'll make sure I share those links in the comments as well. Michael saying, in the new role where a number of tools I haven't used before, at the moment I trust the team know how to use them. Most of them are similar to other tools I've used before. I'm also introducing some new tools to fill some gaps. As a team, we will assess some tools choices as we move forward to see if the knowledge causes to change the task. Yeah, basically exactly what you mentioned, Anton, before in terms of talking with your team regarding the tools as well, and assessing how team can move with these tools as well. And yeah, and a good point about trusting your team to be able to work with some tools.
I absolutely love Michael points on this one. It doesn't really matter what kind of tools you know. It's all about what we know as a team. We, not like an individual person. And yeah, relying on the team and scaling for the team, it's just absolutely awesome idea.
Yeah, you don't want to bring the new tool and then you need to hire the whole new team. just because you need to upskill everyone. So guys, remember the previous question that Anton asked about have you tried to go fully SaaS or not? Please let us know as well if you have some examples. And I think we also have one more example to share. Here we go.
Yeah, we've got one. Is again, when you decide on your tools, whether you bring a new tool or not, what are, I guess, general ideas on decision making? You can spend a lot of time analyzing the market. Like, okay, if you think about monitoring tool chain, do you go Datadog? Do you go AppDynamics, Grafana, the Prometheus? And the list just goes on. You can have Honeycomb, right? And you can have like 20 tools to analyze. And that's really, really, really challenging, right? So maybe instead of going and checking every single tool, validating, spending time, and after half a year, like not deciding on anything, you can maybe come up with a few ideas which you can use to when you decide on a tool. Again, my limited experience in a couple of companies and other projects, you've got some internal and external factors. So let's probably start with the easy ones. External factors. What can really, really, really affect your decisions? Market expertise really, really hurts. Like, think about this one. I don't know, getting Haskell, getting your microservices on the Haskell. It's a great language, but reality is that you're going to struggle to find those people in Sydney, right? Or go in, I don't know, another very, very not common language, right? So market counts, right? So think about what's available in the market, what are the experts out there, and that can really, really impact your decision making, right? Now, working with the vendors, maybe outsourcing, maybe having contractors or consultancy, that can help as well, right? Deciding whether you need that expertise in-house. Are you a technology business, non-technology business? Are you, think about Big W. We're basically selling things. You've been to Big W stores everywhere. Like, we don't have to be an expert in hosting Kubernetes, right? Because, it's not what we do as a business.
I don't think anyone think about Kubernetes that they go to Big W. I definitely don't.
No, that's okay. And once you kind of figure out external factors, right, you kind of more or less you understand what you're looking for. Let's go back to the slide. Internal factors, like very, very big ideas. So SaaS first, you're gonna buy this one, you're gonna have support, you're gonna have maintenance, you're not gonna worry about things, or you're gonna have adventure. You want to self-host and then worry about all those things. It's pros and cons. Security first, single sign-on, just basic checks. You also want to look in the feature set. What you're gonna get for that particular, for that particular amount of money. And for example, you've got usually, hey, standard plan, enterprise plan, maybe business plan. Maybe you don't need to go enterprise plan. Too expensive, 100 different features, but you only use like a couple of them, right? Maybe you need to shift from enterprise into more reasonable plan. Support options. That's where, I'm really passionate about support options and going like a SaaS, buying tools instead of self-hosting, because I can have a really good weekend. Because I know that if something doesn't work, I can have a support, I can have the whole team supporting me, file the ticket, get the response, get a little bit more understanding how to fix the problem, move forward, right? Because it's very, very common not uncommon that you can use maybe an open source tool, great, until it breaks. And then once it breaks, you've got a lot of pressure from the business. Hey, when it's going to be fixed? And you're just like, I've got no idea. I can't even Google this one. No answers on the Stack Overflow. That's pretty fun, right?
And it's 4 o'clock in the morning on Saturday as well.
Exactly. Saturday morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, what do you do? And the one final point, which already been in the comment, it's adoption, right? It doesn't really matter how good you are with that particular tool. What matters is how you can adopt that tool within the organization. First in your team, with your team members, and then maybe expand across broader organization. Start with yourself, your team, become an SME, subject matter expert, and then slowly expand. Get other teams to use this tool, train them maybe, and slowly expand within the organization. That's where the game is, to be honest. PagerDuty, great.
I just got distracted with a comment. I think Luan has the answer to your previous question in terms of the software as a service. We are looking at the Vercel for this very reason.
Nice.
Have you used Vercel?
Vercel. Which comment you read?
This one. I think it was a question about your previous question about outsourcing.
You sure?
I'm not sure. I'm streaming live.
Sorry, catching up on the comments. Sorry. Yep. Nice recommendation. I'm definitely gonna look into this one.
Yeah. So I don't know what's Vercel either. So Luan, you need to give us more ideas, so we don't know. Michael saying the only tool I'm willing to recommend without a lot of context is PagerDuty. It does one thing well and has few competitors. All other dev tooling needs context in terms of product and team. I've heard about PagerDuty.
But it's very well integrated. It integrates really well with other tools. So you can introduce the tool, fantastic, good one, and it integrates very well. So you don't have that scattered landscape of like, hey, I use one tool to look at the same problem with one eye, right? And then I use another guy to see the same problem, right? And I don't understand what's going on, right? So that's one of the challenges with having way too many tools. They can be scattered, disconnected. You can have the same problem and looking from like left, right, or right eye, and it still doesn't make sense, right? You need well integrated tool chain. I think it was raised a couple of times in the comments as well.
Yeah,
and yeah, we've got basically one slide to go, which is thank you. Thank you for
thank you. Yes, we're right in time, 45 minutes. Actually, Luan is replying to us. It's a SaaS offering for front-end hosting, the Vercel. There you go. So we can Google it now. It's a SaaS offering for front-end hosting, and called Vercel. Here you go. And Michael saying, in large organization, there is a challenge to get past not intended here syndrome.
Not invented. Not
invented here syndrome.
It's a good interpretation. Not intended.
Yeah, I just read it quickly, you know. Okay, so guys, before we're gonna wrap it up, we obviously already at 45 minutes our live stream, and we don't wanna, you know, go over an hour as it happens, because everyone loves to talk. So if you have any last question to Anton, please post it in the comments so we can address the last question. So obviously here's the thank you from Anton for you participating in our live stream and asking all your questions. And, you know, I like this, metaphor
exactly.
here about pressing the button.
Yeah, exactly. I thought I'm really excited you noticed this one, because for me, the whole topic was like, how do you choose between the red button and the red button, right? And I was really lucky. I Googled for maybe a couple of hours, coming up with like idea and like the main image, and I found this one. So press the red button, or maybe press the circle button, right? And that's exactly how I feel when I decide on a tool chain, right? Meaning there's no right or wrong answer, right? There's no like ultimate list. Hey, this is 3 tools which are gonna save the day. It's all about the context. It's all about the journey which you have in your organization, moving apps, right? That's the first one. It's all about the people around. How does your team look like? What is the skill set required? What are people passionate about? Great, right? And then scaling that through the organization. So for me, it feels exactly like that. Red button and red button, and I have to choose.
Yeah, great example. And I think, you know, it's really actually can relate to this slide as well. Like sometimes maybe there is no reason to like overthink which button to choose, because there is as you said, there is no exactly right or wrong answer. And I think Michael have a last question for you, Anton, as well, before we wrap up. Is there one tool that is a deal breaker if it's or isn't used by a company, or one that you simply cannot work without?
Michael, I appreciate you asking this question. It feels that you might be like a mind reading or something, because I do have one tool in mind which I try to avoid. Okay, let's start with Flame, I guess. So Jenkins. So yeah, I just closed that job description. Sorry, I don't want to deal with Jenkins. And there is a lot to unpack here. So first of all, I question like, why do we have a Jenkins theme, right? So why do we self-host it? Why do we have to deal with that? Why wouldn't we just buy and move on and focus on something more interesting, right? But it's very, very biased experience. So it's my bias, right? Because I had really, really bad experiences, and I had a couple of friends who've been like, hey, what the hell? We've got Jenkins with 100 something plugins installed, right? And it got really, really messy. It got like the big monolith, which you just want to touch this one. And bunch of the people have struggles, and the full-time job became like a Jenkins operator, right? And so for me, yeah, a deal breaker, exactly, yeah, build kite, I don't know, Azure DevOps, anything, right? Anything that you don't want to deal with. I mean, self-hosted, sorry, SaaS first, right? But yeah, again, look, everybody has biases, and my bias and my kryptonite is Jenkins, right? And yeah, I think I've been talking about it publicly as well. So maybe we can buy and focus on something more important than becoming like Jenkins expert.
What is your favorite alternative for Jenkins?
What's that?
What is your favorite like alternative for Jenkins?
Look, anything but, yeah.
Okay, so
sorry, Jenkins fans out there. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna be remembered for that. I'm sure.
I feel like now I should find someone in my network who loves Jenkins and do the panel discussion. So I feel like it will be like, you know, next topic for the live stream. By the way, guys, before I forgot, talking about the next topic. So next Wednesday at 5:30, we're gonna talk with Mais, and we're gonna talk about how to transition your career from delivery to product management. May just done it herself, so she transitioned from the delivery manager to product owner, and she's gonna share her insights and her real life journey. Like she's done it in just literally a few years ago, so she's gonna share it with us next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. So if you're interested to do some transition between delivery and product, please make sure to join our discussion on the 17th of November at 5:30 p.m. And something from Michael still, a very small shell script. And just, I'm conscious of the time, so we're already in the 50 minutes mark. So obviously, guys, whoever want to connect with Anton, I guess the easiest way would be LinkedIn. Yes, so you can find Anton by his first and last name. So probably there is not that many Anton Vishnyakov on LinkedIn, so I'm sure you can easily find him. And then is it the easiest way to connect with you?
Yeah, that's wonderful. LinkedIn becomes a new Facebook.
Yeah, perfect. And then just to finalize this live stream and put you on the spot, can you please share your favorite inspirational quote with me?
Whoa. Okay.
Wow, you can.
Right.
Yeah, you have one.
I need to Google one.
You can Google one. I'll just while you're Googling, I'll just wanna remind everyone that, obviously, if you're enjoying our discussion, as usual, please make sure you like this video. It will obviously encourage me to keep going, keep bringing different experts from my network to these live streams. So please also let me know if there's any particular topic you want to concentrate on. Maybe you even have a particular guest in mind that you want me to invite to my show. And obviously, again, subscribe to my YouTube channel to make sure you get notified about upcoming events and also can watch the previous replays. Philip is saying thank you. Thank you, Philip, for joining us. Luana is saying thank you. Thank you, Yana. Vinny is saying thank you. And then I gave you enough time to come up with the inspirational quote. Come on.
I've got none. To be honest, yeah. I'm not that kind of person, I guess.
It could be. It doesn't need an inspiration quote. It could be just.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Build stuff, have fun. That's it. Done. Right. So.
Here we go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Build stuff and have fun, and looks like your dog in the background having fun as well. So it's a perfect, finalizing our live stream. Thank you, Michael, for joining us. And also, we didn't pick the winner for our little giveaway. So Anton, that's the hardest pick for you. So obviously, as a quick thank you for everyone to joining this live stream, I wanna set up a quick virtual coffee with Anton and one of our live stream listeners. So pick the one, or you can pick a few if you want.
I think Michael was really vocal, right? And we definitely need to flame around Jenkins and what was it? build kite. Fantastic. It's gonna be
Sounds
fun.
good. Sounds good. Michael, I make sure I connect you with Anton on LinkedIn, and obviously everyone else, make sure to connect with Anton as well. Thank you so much, everyone. So build stuff and have fun. And I'll see you next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m.
Thanks, Jana.
Thank you. Thank you.